there's a story I've been sitting with that's been floating around social media. And I'm not going to discuss it in hopes to drag the company because that's not what I do here. But what I am going to do while discussing the story is talk about the lesson inside of it because it is too important to walk past. And if you don't know, the story I'm talking about is with the Hanifa and the Hanifa Day experience. If you know, you know. If you don't, stay with me because this isn't really about one brand. This is about every brand, maybe even yours. Welcome to More Than a Brand podcast, the podcast for scaling founders who have hit the 100K mark and realize what got you here won't get you there. My name is Lindsay Trammell Jones, the People CXO and the CEO of Fierceified Creative and Consulting. This show is dedicated to the art and science of customer retention. It's time to stop chasing the next lead and start stewarding the ones you've already got. You've done the hard part by building the vision. Now let's build the machine. This is More Than a Brand. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to More Than a Brand. Hanifa is a Congolese American luxury-owned clothing brand. It has beautiful pieces, a loyal following, and they're known for carrying inclusive sizing. They also have a community of people who genuinely believe in what they're building and people that continuously showed up for her again and again. So that brand loyalty was not missing when you talk about Hanifa. So when Hanifa announced Hanifa Day, which happened pre-Black Friday of 2025, the community showed up and they showed up in numbers. You know how we do. So they pulled out their cards, they clicked buy, there were some pre-sales of stuff, and they waited. And they kept waiting. And in between that waiting is where things started falling apart. Orders weren't being fulfilled. They were not meeting their regular brand expectations. People were getting frustrated. And then what happened is those loyal, ride-or-die customers took their frustration somewhere else. And you know where people like to be loud and proud. They took it to the social media streets. And so now, fast forward to a couple weeks ago, the owner of Hanifa decided that it's time for the brand to pause. And she said she doesn't know exactly when they're going to come back, but she's pausing to make sure she is able to come back even better. And they are continuing to fulfill those orders. And the community that she had that was championing for her is now warning others to stay away because of that bad experience they had when purchasing from Hanifa Day and the fulfillment just not being fulfilled as promised. And that's the basic story of what happened. But here's what I really want to talk about. Not what the coulda, shoulda, wouldas with Hanifa and Hanifa Day. But what I want to talk about is something that I ask my clients all the time. And I ask it often and I ask it early. If you sold out tomorrow, like if you went viral, if everybody that was on your customer list said, I'm buying this thing because it's so amazing, would you be ready? Not would you be excited or would you be grateful or are you going to thank the Lord or whatever religious background that you have. But would you and your business be ready? Could your systems handle it? Could your production keep pace? Could you look every single one of those customers in their eyes and say, I got you? Like I'm going to deliver to you like I've always have. I ask them this because as small business owners, we think about worst case scenarios. And there's a handful of us who think about best case scenarios. But there are quite a few of us who think, well, what if nobody buys? And what if it flops? And what I'm going to do for money if this doesn't work? And we think about the negative. And those are real fears. But I need you to flip it. What if everybody buys and you're not ready? Because that's the scenario that broke Hanifa. Not a bad product, not that the launch failed, not that nobody paid attention, but the best case scenario happened and the infrastructure wasn't there to hold it. So you already know I am a fierce believer in retention. And it is the foundation of everything I do with my clients. It is cheaper to keep her. You know I'm going to preach it till I'm blue in the face. So think about what happened to Hanifa's retention pipeline in that moment. Those loyal customers, the ones that were so hype, who was loving the idea of Hanifa Day, who trusted the brand, and who had been waiting to make that purchase on that day, they didn't just quietly unsubscribe. They became a warning system on the social media streets, dragging her name, regardless of how loyal they were in the past, on this one experience. So instead of bringing new customers in, they started sending people in the other direction. The referral engine that her brand had created was flipped and reversed overnight. Word of mouth can flip fast, y'all. It took years to earn that loyalty, and it took one unfulfilled promise to start losing it. People will be loyal. They will keep buying for you. They will tell their friends until they don't. And once they won't, that silence is deafening, and it spreads like wildfire. And unfortunately, what we see with minority-owned businesses is the cheers for why you're climbing up and you're getting that success is very quiet compared to the slander and the dragging that happens when you fall from grace. And it's unfortunate. Sometimes it feels like as consumers, we give those larger corporate businesses more grace than we do a smaller business, despite knowing the hardships that smaller businesses have to go through to build that brand and that awareness and that loyalty. Unfortunately, we saw real time, and we have continued to see real time, when a small business that works so hard to be seen falls just a little bit. I do want to commend the brand on something that they did that a lot of businesses do not do, and especially talking about large corporations, is she took ownership. She was like, hey, we need to take a pause. And there's nothing to be ashamed of having to take a pause. She responded publicly, said, we're taking a pause. We are grateful, but we need to get things better. And that is also part of building a great customer experience. When you do not meet expectations, when the experience is less than stellar, you have to be willing to take responsibility and to acknowledge that, hey, I'm going to get this right, and be realistic about it. Like I said, I'm not here to bury Hanifa because I didn't buy anything, but I'm here because I don't want this to be your story. So before your next launch or your next big sale, before your next viral moment, I want you to ask yourself the hard question. If everyone shows up tomorrow, am I really ready for them? You want them to show up, but just because you want something and you manifested something, does that mean that you're actually ready for it? I invite you to book a strategy call with us. You know where to find us. That's at fierceified.agency. And as always, remember, your business is more than a brand, and your customers believe it too. I'll see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Remember, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date. Find us on social media at fierceified.agency on Instagram, or find us on Facebook at Fierceified Creative and Consultant.